Now on BBC One, current affairs from where you live. Mari Ashby with Inside Out East Midlands.
40 years ago, Cloughie was sacked from Derby County. Now we finally hear the chairman's side of the story.
I'm sorry this has taken place. It's very distressing to me. Our friendship and partnership over the years has been tremendous.
Now, for some Derby County fans, the recent sacking of manager Nigel Clough must seem like history repeating itself. Next week marks the 40th anniversary of his father's controversial departure from the club. But as Simon Hare's been finding out, one side of that story has remained untold until now.
A private family archive featuring one very public figure, a young Brian Clough and family at play.
That's Nigel.
Cinefilm shot by the family of Sam Longson, the Derby County chairman who brought Clough to the club.
His relationship with Brian Clough was a son that he'd never had. I know that Grandad was really expecting a fantastic relationship.
It was Longson who'd spotted the potential of the inexperienced young manager, signing him in 1967.
There were a few other directors with him. And they weren't over keen on Brian, but my father was struck with him. And so he persuaded them to give Brian the job.
Without doubt, in those early days, the relationship did work, and it did work with the success of Derby County. I signed probably a month after Brian Clough took the job, and they were always together, they were always talking to each other. Brian allowed Sam to come into the game, as chairman, to come into the dressing room after the game, and he'd always say, "Well done, lads." And you could tell there was a warm, very warm relationship between Brian and Sam. And I think for any successful football club, there has to be that relationship.
The Derby County team taking the trophy to show their fans.
5 years after arriving, Brian Clough had repaid Longson's faith in him with Derby County's first ever Division 1 title.
He used to say to me, whatever we do, just win something for me. And of course we won something, then having won it, and outside influences tended to change.
You are a disgrace!
170 grand for Colin Blooming Todd.
Correction, the almighty Colin Todd, the best technical footballer in the country.
But there had been building tensions. Clough had signed players behind his chairman's back.
You mean there are others?
Messrs Gemmell and Hennessy. Oh.
This is the telegram Clough sent Longson after breaking the British transfer record for Colin Todd, saying he was now running short of cash. But Longson feared Clough's maverick approach to others could spell trouble for Derby County. And now, almost a quarter of a century after his death, Longson's own account of that era is to be published for the first time.
We feel, in fairness, not only to Sam, but to the history books and the legacy of Derby County itself, that there should be more perspective to who was responsible for what during the glory years of the 1970s.
Sam Longson had made his money from a successful Peak District haulage business. As a teenager in 1918, he'd come to Derby Marketplace to find work. In 1972, he was back there, parading the biggest prize in English football. With success, Clough had become even more outspoken.
Football had a bad week last week. The goodies lost and the cheats won.
My father asked him and begged him to stop it and just concentrate on managing, which he was a fantastic manager.
And the biggest mistake he's made, I think, of criticising his fellow managers.
I criticised Sir Alf when he was on top. His character now will stand him in good stead because he's a bit of a stubborn bugger. And I'm sick of the people in your profession who are not being rude here.
Derby County had already been in trouble twice with the FA over its financial affairs and the failed transfer of Ian Moore. Longson feared Clough's TV comments could land the club in even deeper trouble. Their relationship broke down.
The funny thing is, as a player, we didn't really see that fracture. That fracture wasn't as obvious as what it was and what happened in the breakup, obviously in '73.
On October the 15th, Clough and assistant Peter Taylor offered their resignations. Longson and a majority of the board accepted them. To this day, many Rams fans think Longson sacked Clough. But was he a manager that had simply become unmanageable?
I'm sorry this is taking place. It's very distressing to me because our friendship and partnership over the years has been tremendous.
Could you have held on? Could you have held on at Derby?
Oh, certainly, most certainly. I resigned because I detected a change and they tried to channel me and put the dampers down on me, so to speak. They restricted me. But having left and having made a decision, I wouldn't for 1 second tell you I'd made the wrong one.
When Brian and Peter resigned, I think, you know, if they were here today and they talked about it, they would tell everybody it was the biggest mistake they ever made.
I think Grandad was more about the club and being a steward of the club and quickly getting Dave Mackay in place and getting Derby back playing football and getting back to winning. And I think, you know, the proof is winning the championship again 2 years later. And a lot of people kind of forget that part and getting to Europe and getting to the semi-final post the Clough era.
Sam Longson's family have come to the Derby Telegraph to find photos from that era for Sam's book.
He was immensely proud of what Derby had achieved and the relationship he had with the players and the players' families as well.
It's a chance to actually set the record straight and, you know, the new generation get a view from what they read on the websites and what they see in movies.
There would be no Derby County without me. No league title, no champions of England, not without Brian Clough.
In the acclaimed Damned United, the family are unhappy about this particular scene.
The chairman is the boss, then comes the directors, then the secretary, then the fans, then the players, and then finally, last of all, bottom of the heap, the lowest of the low, comes the one who in the end we can all do without, the blooming manager.
They say Longson felt the relationship between chairman and manager working together was key to success. 40 years on, and another Clough has left Derby County. At what would prove to be son Nigel's last home game in charge, fans are still talking about what might have been in the 70s. Sam Longson.
My first reaction, not good.
Why not?
Because you got rid of Brian Clough.
Yeah, a lot of disputing, a very stubborn man along with Cloughie. Two clashing the Titans.
He really started the club moving in the right direction in the 60s.
I talk a lot about my grandfather days to my kids and they don't see, you know, any evidence.
To put that right, the family hope in the future the club may mark Sam Longson's role in those past glories.
We knew we were part of a family, and a warm family, and a close-knit family, and a successful, probably time in Derby County's history. So how they recognise him, I don't know, but certainly he's got to have some recognition for what he did alone in terms of bringing Brian and Peter to Derby County.